What if you could grow your Instagram following from 2,500 to 26,000 followers in 6 months and double your online sales in the meantime while just laying on your couch and being a little bit lazy? I call this lazy marketing in a way. Well, kind of. If you're interested in hearing about how one of my students did this, I cannot wait to share the story of Claire Mannheimer of Adorn to Rise. She is an amazingly talented jewelry designer, maker, and a business owner, as she says, who has really scaled her business and grown online and off over the last year. And I want to share how she's done that using a real strategy that she literally does at the same time that she's working and creates these reels in one of the laziest fashions of all, like lounging around and taking a break. So if you think that building your audience on Instagram has to be hard, or if you think building your audience on your website has to be hard and that this online selling thing's hard and social media is hard and all the things, well, I want to give you some pause here to know that it can be easy if you want to let it. So I think you're going to enjoy this episode today. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy. I'm the host of the Thrive by Design podcast. And I also wrote a book called The Desire Brand Effect: Stand Out in a Saturated Jewelry Market with a Timeless Brand. And today I'm here to talk a little bit more about how to grow your online sales using Reels. So if you want to make it easy and you're tired of the struggle and the hardship and all the things that have to happen in order for you to kind of grow your audience and get more online sales, well, there's hope, because we're going to make it a lot easier. And I'm here to show you how with the example of one of our students. Now, before I dive in, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure that you subscribe, that you hit that little notification bell. And if you like this video, make sure that you like it and share it with your friends. I also am curious to know what your key takeaways are at the end of this episode. So let's dive in to find out how Claire did it. Excited to have one of our students on the show today, Claire Mannheimer of Adorn to Rise. Claire, thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Well, I wanted to interview you for a particular reason. You have taken our TYC program. You're also in our Momentum program. And you basically were like, guys, Reels works and I'm proof. I started doing Reels in December and I had 5,000 followers. Now I have, what was it, like 25,000 or something?
So I actually started with 2,500 followers.
2,500 followers. Okay, let's
just surpassed 26,000.
So like just surpassed 26,000. So I was like, so you're like, all this buzz about Reels, it really works. And I want to dig into this today and how you are creating a real strategy, some of the upsides of putting this work in to create Reels. And then I also want to talk about some of the downsides, or not necessarily downsides, but maybe like some of the lessons that you've learned about your Reel strategy that you'd like to share with people. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So before we kind of dive in, I would love to just know a little bit about your business, Adorn to Rise. How did you get started and all the things?
So Adorn to Rise is, I've actually just recently rebranded about like a year or two ago, but I make meaningful talisman jewelry. It's modern looking, but ancient feeling, pretty like simple, but striking pieces that are meaningful that you can incorporate into your everyday and like uplift and enhance your life. I learned silversmithing in college. I went to a state school in Northern California and just took every jewelry class I could and never stopped. And now it's my full-time income.
Where'd you go to school in California?
Humboldt State University.
Oh, cool.
So,
yeah, so you kind of get the mountainy feel since you live in Montana now.
Yeah.
In Humboldt.
Yeah. It's like as far north as you can get in California, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. You're like right there in Oregon.
Yeah.
I had a former family member, and I say former because it was my ex-husband's cousin, but who went to Humboldt State a long time ago. He's probably much older than you, but that's my only connection with Humboldt State besides people who went there from my high school, I guess.
It's weirdly very remote, but it's a very special place.
Yeah. I heard it's so beautiful because there's a lot of redwoods there, huh?
Lots of redwoods and right next to the coast. And there's like lagoons and marshland. You kind of have a little bit of everything. You've got beaches, redwoods, lagoons. Yeah, it's lovely.
So how long has Adorn to Rise been around?
So since I took laying the foundation, so I actually took laying the foundation first,
Yep.
then TYC, and now I'm in Momentum, which laying the foundation was the catalyst for me
Yeah.
figuring out what my signature style was. Because when I graduated from school, I had this idea in my mind that I'm an art major, like I'm an artist. I can just
Mm-hmm.
be an artist and do whatever I want. And I really had design ADD, and laying the foundation like got me to hone in and figure out, what am I about? Why do I do this? What is my signature style? That prompted the rebrand, the name change, the logo change. Like my style got completely redefined, and that helped me so much with marketing and telling my story, and sales have just taken off ever since.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I love that exactly what you said, because I feel like a lot of people who, especially people who go to art school, they're like, oh, I want to try all these different things. And I hired so many people who went to California College of the Arts when I lived in San Francisco, to be sort of apprentices and to help me with my jewelry production. And I got to watch kind of how they develop their style, and it was like all over the map. And then you see what they end up with like down the road, and it's so different. And I think that's a great kind of takeaway that you said. I feel like a lot of people who are artists come into it, they're like, well, I don't really want to focus on one thing, but it's confusing. And I love what you said about how that really has impacted your sales and how the business has taken off since then.
Yeah, there was a huge switch with my sales once I internalized that I'm a business owner first. And yes, I'm still an artist, but I used to lead with I'm an artist, and you can kind of get addicted to like trying all kinds of techniques and styles, and then never really like hone in on the business side of things.
Never really create something, and also never really create something that is really your thing. Because if you look at all the best artists out there, all the best jewelry artists, I should say, the ones that are successful and have these thriving businesses and have been around for like 20 years, like Jennifer Dawes is a great example. They have such a signature, like a point of view with their brand from the way that they design and the way that they look. Like you see one of their pieces and you know it's theirs. And that's, I think, what everyone should be working towards creating.
Totally. Yeah.
So we're here to talk about Reels today and a bunch of other things. So let's why did you start creating Reels? I'm sure you heard someone told you to start doing it. So that's probably why.
So, I mean, every business marketing entrepreneurial podcast I listen to has been saying that Reels are the number one way that you grow your audience on Instagram these days. It's like what Instagram is favoring and pushing out into people's feeds. It's like the most engaging form of content. And I actually didn't have access to Reels until December of 2021.
Oh, wow.
Which was like a year and a half after they rolled out the feature. I don't know if you know this, but Instagram doesn't like roll out their features to everyone equally.
Well, you know what's interesting? I have actually have 3 Instagram accounts, and the interface for each one looks different.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think they like test batch like groups of people, and your version of Instagram could be different than someone else's. So I'm like promoting my business on Instagram regularly, pretty frustrated that I don't have access to Reels, knowing that Reels are the number one way people are growing their audience. And I kind of like forced my way in by making TikToks and then posting TikToks to Instagram. And eventually I think like, I don't know if like the algorithm just recognizes that, this girl really wants to make Reels. Let's give her the feature. So they eventually rolled that feature out to me. And the first reel that I posted just completely went viral. Like the first official reel.
Oh, really?
It was crazy. Yeah, it was really crazy. But I had been making TikToks. So there had been a year and a half where I wasn't allowed to make reels. So I was watching a lot of content. I think that might have been like kind of key for me.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time like throughout COVID consuming Instagram content and consuming TikTok content and just studying the way that other business owners were like responding to trends and how they were representing their brand and like reinterpreting, trending audio. And I just like studied what I liked about them, what I didn't like what was engaging, what got boring, how did they edit between things. So I spent a lot of time consuming the content without making it. So by the time I was like allowed to make it, things just kind of took off.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. And so awesome.
It was like market research time. But do you know that audio with the super trending audio that goes, it costs that much because it takes me fucking hours. Yep. So that was the one that I did like my own interpretation to that. I just strung together a bunch of clips of me working in my studio, put that audio on it. And that one, it has over like 500,000 views.
Wow, that is insane.
Yeah. And that reel alone grew my audience pretty significantly in about 3 months.
Wow. And it's still probably going.
It's simmered down. I have other ones that are performing well, but it performed pretty strong for like 3 months solid. Yeah. Every once in a while I'll get, more comments on it and stuff like that. But
that is so cool. So you had started making TikToks. Like, what do you think, how long have you been on TikTok?
Maybe a year, but I don't like put a lot of time into it or take it super seriously. It was like my window to get into Instagram Reels. Okay. Instagram is really my like comfort area. TikTok is another ball game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so different. I was going to ask you, like, what do you see the difference between them? But it sounds like you're focusing more on Reels.
I'm focusing on Reels and Instagram, and I dabble in TikTok, and I don't understand it yet.
Yeah, so, I know. I'm dabbling in TikTok. It's not very well, but
yeah. And it's just like, you only have so much time, and I try to comment on everyone's comment on Instagram. Like I really take that seriously. And like, that's like a full, full-time job in its own. And it's like, okay, well, I want to master one thing at a time. And then,
I think it's better to do one thing really well than all the things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All the things kind of haphazardly. So you started creating Reels because you knew that you wanted to get into it, and you like probably were just kind of, you didn't have the features. So you're like, I want to do this. And one of the first ones went viral, which is awesome. So what has happened over the course of this 6 months as you've been creating Reels? Like, how has your audience grown first? And then we'll talk about how this impacted your business. So
my audience grew from about 2,500 followers to now 26,000. Granted, not all those people are customers, of course, just eyeballs, which is good to have more eyeballs on your work. I definitely noticed an increase in sales, so an increase in online sales. I literally had people commenting on certain reels saying, I just placed an order because of this reel. Yeah, like it directly, correlated. I have more online sales than ever before. I have more first-time customers than ever before, and I have an international audience now. I've sent jewelry to like Hong Kong and Australia and France, and I get messages pretty frequently from an international audience.
That's awesome. So are they buying on your website? Or are they shooting you a DM? Or are they shopping on your Instagram store? Like, how are you getting?
They're buying on
actually. Okay, go ahead.
They're buying on my website. Sometimes they message me to ask if I can ship to their country, because in Shopify you have to add countries individually. So sometimes, So sometimes there's a little back and forth of like, oh no, I don't have your country yet, but I'm adding it right now, and go ahead, and here's the link. Sometimes international shipping is spendy, so sometimes they abandon cart, but like they are interested. A little mix of everything.
That's so great. Like, do you know a percentage of how much your online sales have increased since you started doing Reels?
They might have like doubled, or maybe a little under doubling. Yeah. I know that my overall revenue for this year has doubled compared to last year.
Wow. That's
great.
But
I don't just do online. I also do shows, but I am trying to grow online to kind of meet what I do at shows.
Okay, cool. So you do shows. You have a busy summer show season, I'm assuming.
I have a busy summer show season, yeah.
Yeah, because you're in Montana. A little cold to stand out in the shows.
Nothing's happening for 6 months out of the year outside.
In the local area. So that's why you need to grow your online sales so that you can have strong holiday sales and all those things, which is awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. So your audience has exploded. Your sales have doubled, or an estimated double, because your overall sales have doubled, and that's going awesome, which is amazing. So I think what a lot of people probably would really like to know is like, you're dropping one reel a day. Is that correct?
I try to, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. So you're trying to drop one reel a day, and it takes a lot of time. So, that's a time investment depending on how you're doing it. Like, what is your approach and strategy to creating the reels? Like, are you following trends? Are you just like recording videos of you making the jewelry or of the product? Like, what's your approach? I'd love to know.
So essentially all that I do to make reels is I consistently am taking B-roll. I'm shooting B-roll.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know what B-roll is, it's just like behind the scenes footage of whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not me like directly talking to the camera necessarily. It's just like me packing up an order, me like soldering something, panning over my booth at craft shows, like showing a finished piece, showing things I'm wearing. Anytime I'm working in my business, I just think to myself, is this an opportunity to make content? And if it is, I'll just whip out my phone, shoot 3 to 30 seconds worth of footage and keep moving on with my day. I don't think about how I'm going to use it at all. I just shoot B-roll kind of constantly.
There's that everything is content reel. Everything
Yeah,
is content.
exactly.
Everything is content.
Yeah, I mean, what I think, especially with like product-based businesses and like creative businesses, is everything you're doing is inherently interesting to people. It is, especially if you're making something by hand and people want to see that. And you're walking around with like a video recording device all the time anyway. Yeah, just do the thing. So I shoot B-roll, you know, all week long, no plan whatsoever in mind. And then when I need just like a mental break from working in the studio, or I just need to like, honestly, like lay down. Most of my reels, I think this is really important to mention, but most of my reels are made while I'm laying down on my back on the couch.
Interesting.
Like, I think this is really like key to,
like you're relaxing. It's like your downtime.
Like it's not difficult. It's fun. It's a creative endeavor. I hear a lot of people like being really resistant to getting on the reels train. And it's like, I just lay on my couch when I need a break from the studio. I go through the B-roll that I've shot all week. I'll throw together some clips that look good together or tell an interesting visual story. I'll pull some audio that I've saved that is on brand and like makes sense with my messaging and makes sense with my audience and what I'm all about. And then once I pick some audio that works, I'll fine tune my clips. I'll either shorten things, I'll lengthen things, I'll rearrange things to go with the beat of the music or go with the words in the audio. And then I'll not sit down, I will lay down on my couch and
I will lay down.
I will lay down. I am resting. And I'll make a dozen reels that way.
That makes it so easy. You can get so much content done.
It's so easy. And it's like, you can scroll on your phone anyway as like a mental veg out moment. Yeah. So you might as well just be on your phone making content and kind of scrolling through your own content and then making reels like while you're relaxing on the couch.
It was so funny. I heard Ashley Longshore. She's like a really famous pop artist. I had her on the podcast. Like she was on like one of my first episodes because I knew her personally. And she's like, yeah, let's just face it. Like the only time I'm really on Instagram, she has like a massive Instagram following, is when I'm going to the bathroom. I mean, this is like really like the truth. It's like, I think people stress out so much about creating content for social media. Yeah. You need to just make it work for you in a way that's going to be aligned. And I can teach all day about batching content and doing it, like getting a whole month's worth done in advance. Sometimes that works great and you can actually really get ahead. And I do recommend at least having an idea of what you're going to be promoting and planning and getting that kind of content ahead. But if you're doing some things in real time just because, or like the same week as the content's going live, that's good enough if you can just find some space to do it when you have those moments where you're not at the bench or not shipping orders and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be this huge dedicated block of time that you schedule out. And I think that's why a lot of people stop. And I'm totally contradicting myself because it's against kind of a reverse of what I say, but you have to make it work for you. And if you can make it work for you, you're going to actually do the work and put it out there. Yeah, put it out there. Like you're not going to make a sale from the reel that you didn't post. Like you might not make a sale from the reel that you post, but you're definitely not going to make a sale from the reel that you didn't. Yeah. You might as well just like put yourself out there. Don't take it too seriously. Yeah, make it work for you. Do it in the bath. Do it on your couch. Do it in like just, and like don't expect too much out of it, I think is also key because people can get really like wrapped up in expectations and get disappointed and just put yourself out there and like just see what, That's so true. And I think that's good. And I love what you just said. You're never going to make a sale from the reel that you don't post. You might not make a sale from the reel that you post, but you're never going to make a sale from the reel that you don't post.
Yeah, definitely not going to happen.
That's the truth. Do you have any strategy of how you're kind of cycling through like the concepts or anything? Or is it kind of all the same? You're just featuring your jewelry. Like, are you ever on camera?
Yes, I think it's important to show your face on camera. I think the reels that perform the best, my face is in it. I rarely talk directly to the camera, and I think that's something that I could incorporate more because I think that's like a really personal connection point.
Do you have like a strategy of how you're posting it, or is it mostly just B-roll, or is your face on camera? Like, how are you? What are you doing with that?
I would say 95% of it is B-roll and just showing my process and showing the finished work and like giving more information about the meaning behind my pieces. And then 5% of it would be like jumping on a trend and filming something really specific for a trend. But I'm not doing very much that isn't something I'm already naturally doing in my business. I'm just kind of filming, like it's not really taking up that much time. It's not this like part-time job that I have. It's just in natural flow with what I'm already doing in my business. And I'm just filming B-roll and putting stuff together and like just content comes out of it.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's of your face because the ones with your face do the best.
Yeah. I think showing your face is important. And I like to give myself tips. I think I could like speak directly into the camera more. Even though I've had a lot of success with reels, it's like I still have so many things I could try and do and improve on, and my reels could coincide more with my email marketing, and like so much more strategy can be built up around it. But I'm still having success just stringing together clips of B-roll and like kind of inviting people into my world. Yeah.
Well, I think that's so cool because I think another thing, one thing that just came to mind, and you could take it or leave it if you want, is if you wanted to just get into the habit of like maybe once a week doing a face to camera where you could just talk about a piece that you just made.
Totally. Yeah.
And what the inspiration is. And then the next reel can be like the more like B-roll style where you're showing like the making of the piece. And then that way, people really get an insight about who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to really help sales even more.
Right.
Now, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I'm totally going to take that and file it away and use that.
I also love what you said about like mirroring what you're doing in your email marketing strategy. That's just like so easy because that's a great way to repurpose content. Even though it's a different format, there's a lot that you could do in that to even talk about like the promotion you're having or share the pieces that are in the email or create the video version of that email and have a strong call to action, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, which is so cool. Or if you're doing SMS marketing, same thing. So my next question for you was, what are you writing in the captions that makes it so people are actually buying? Is there anything special? Are you keeping it short? Are you writing long copy? Like,
I mix it up. Sometimes I keep it short and sweet and just kind of like reiterate something that came out of the audio. A lot of the audio I'm choosing is like inspirational, kind of like empowerment. Like my brand is all about finding empowerment through adornment. So it's all like aspirational, inspirational, like empowerment stuff. Sometimes it's just short and sweet because I don't always have the bandwidth to write a caption. It seems like people read the captions on reels, which I'm surprised by. Like I get a lot of comments about like the actual content I've written, more so than on a static post. And a lot of the captions I'm writing are just about the meaning behind the piece that I'm showing, or just go into the overall intention behind my brand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that's kind of vague, but.
No, I think that's important because I feel the same way because I do record a lot of reels. I could do daily reels. We don't do necessarily daily. I try, but it doesn't always work out that way. I would actually love to post twice a day, but it doesn't always happen. So like my favorite reels to post are the really like ridiculous like memes that come out like where it's a funny video clip of like a celebrity doing something funny and then like because those get the most traction. I don't know that they convert to anything, but they just get the most traction. But I think an important like takeaway from writing captions is like if you're getting comments, that's an opportunity for you to have a conversation with your customers. So make sure that you have a strong call to action in that caption so people know what you want them to do next. Like ask a question or whatever it is, like whatever you're trying to get them to do. And then that creates that conversation that can turn into a sale. And I think a lot of people who don't get sales from social media are doing this wrong. They just post a bunch of stuff and they don't know how to get engagement on their posts. And that engagement, whether it's saves or hearts or saves, likes, hearts, whatever, or comments, or even direct messages from that or shares, all of those things work together to help Instagram see that you're someone who they should be showing their content to. So it works in that way. But also the more engagement you get, the better it is going to be for your sales, because those people are always going to see their posts in their feed, which is awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to respond to as many comments as you can, because that's the opportunity to create the conversation and like show that you're a real human behind that can lead in. I've sold pieces in my DMs before, just like giving them the time of day and like, just giving them.
Thank you for sharing that, because that is like one of my favorite ways to sell on social media. Like one of the things that I feel like has really changed how our Instagram following is growing at Flourish and Thrive is for me spending a little bit of time every single day talking to people in the DMs. People are always surprised. They're like, it's you? And I'm like, yeah, because, I have a virtual assistant who helps, and like a social media assistant, and Natasha sometimes helps me, and people on my team, like they help manage it if we have a high volume. But also I want to know what's going on with people. And I also can help them the most because I'm the one who knows the most about our programs, or I know how to answer the questions and stuff like that. And the more that you can do that is like show up as you, as the face of the company, I feel like the more people trust you, and the more, even if they don't buy from you right now, it's going to like have an impact down the road, right? So if you're listening to this and you want to talk to me, just shoot us a direct message on Instagram. And if you want to talk to Claire, you can shoot her a direct message at adorn. It's adorn.to.rise, correct? Yeah, on Instagram. So that's a really powerful lesson. So how can you get your customers, like everyone who's listening to this, to actually shoot you a direct message? Or how can you reply to a comment and say, hey, I'll shoot you a DM right now, check your messages. And then you start the conversation, you take control of it, and you're not just waiting around for passively to make sales on social media, because I don't think it really works that way. All these platforms are in it to make money somehow. So you have to do the work. And if you want to be on those platforms, I think it's really important that you're setting yourself up for success instead of disappointment. Yeah.
And I don't think social media is any different than the way you would interact with people in real life. Like
Let's talk about that.
Like if someone came up to your booth at a craft show and they were like, your work is so beautiful, would you just ignore them? Or would you be like, thanks so much. I've been doing this for this amount of years. I've really honed my skill set. Like my favorite pieces are this. Like, what do you, have you been eyeing something? Like engage with a normal human. Don't just ghost people. Like even if they send you 3 emojis, that's almost like the equivalent of like making eye contact and smiling. Are you just gonna like avoid eye contact and not smile back? Like, no, you're going to send them 3 emojis back.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Come on. This is such a great piece of advice. I should have you as like our social media coach. And I'm just joking.
Yeah, I would. That would be amazing. It's not like I'm an expert or anything. It's just, I have like real experience, and I'm sensitive to other people and like what they're putting, like they've taken the time. Granted, it's 3 emojis. It's probably not going to lead to a sale. It does, like, but they've taken the time to type those in. And like, if you're not going to acknowledge that, like if you just think about the equivalent in real life, like that's rude.
Yeah, you wouldn't just turn around. This is such a great conversation for a very specific reason. So many people say to me, I do not know how to turn in-person experiences into online experiences. And this is it. Make yourself available for conversations. Like it's just virtual. Like you can pick up the phone, you can hop on Zoom, you can do all these things to be of service. You can tell people to send you a direct message. You can have live chat function on your website, and you can do the same thing in Instagram. Instagram is an amazing tool if you use it the right way. And I think the more that you can open it up for people to be able to have a conversation with you, and you actually have the courage to have those conversations, the easier it is. Like, just think to myself, if this person was standing in front of me, what would I say to them? And say that.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
Right?
I had a customer the other day reach out online asking about like, which pendant should I buy, the big one or the little one? And in real life, if she was at my booth, I would have picked them both up. I would have shown them to her. I would have tried them on in front of her to show her like scale. I would have offered if she, if she wanted to try them on. So like, what's the equivalent of that online? And you can do that exact thing. You can try them on. You can send them additional pictures. You can like put them in your hand, give her scale. Like, you're not speaking a different language just because you're online. It's the same like human connection. It just like feels a little different.
Yeah, exactly. How do you, I just want to ask you, because you took the TYC and part of that program is about training your customers to buy online. How do you leverage your in-person shows to get more online customers? Like, what are you doing there?
Doing in-person shows is the main way that I grow my email list. So I'm getting their email. I'm telling them that I have a website. So like if they were interested in 2 pieces and they bought one, I'll let them know, like, if you ever, find that you really need this piece, here's my card. I have a website. You can order it online. It's like called this. So I kind of plant the seed in their minds, and like I just literally teach them that I have a website and to use it.
Can I give you one tip that might even help
All the tips.
Expand that a little bit more? This is from Anna Andrikin, one of our coaches. She does a huge business. She has a really successful online business and in-person business. And she has a very manageable, like, I think it's a multi-6-figure business, but it's not like a huge business. She has a lifestyle business is what I would say. Like, she's not interested in scaling. She just wants to have a nice income for her and her family. And she has one assistant or whatever. And her dad helps her at shows. But she was really adamant, she had breast cancer and she had to like recoup all of her lost show sales. And so she started developing this system years ago. And and this is something I think that she maybe like partially learned from me and Robin, because we would talk about this in wholesale. It's like if someone comments and they're thinking about 2 pieces, start making notes, get their email address and or phone number, and then shoot them a text or a message after, like a week after or whatever, just check in on them like, hey, how's that? How are you enjoying the piece? It's Claire. I just wanted to check in on you. And then say like, hey, this piece is still available if you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, that's so savvy. I need to up my game on that. Like,
I just think that that's like such an easy tip for people to do. They're not really thinking like, oh, well, they only took the one piece, so I only got one sale. Like, what happens at the show doesn't end at the show.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's like, how can you extend that a little bit longer? Yeah. I didn't mean to coach you on the podcast, but
no, that's okay. I
know you're going into show season, so.
I love advice, and I'll take all the advice that I can get. I've had people reach out after shows specifically saying that they regretted not getting this second piece to go with that other piece. And if you can like do them the service of knowing that and reaching out, like, how many people have I missed because I didn't provide that service? Like, it's really a service that you're providing.
Yeah, for sure. Anna would also do something like, hey, I know you bought that piece. Like if someone was only interested in one piece, I just like made these earrings. I had some extra stones that go with it. I wanted to offer it to you first before I put them on my website. Right. And that's just like, there's no pressure there. It's just like coming of service. Like, I wanted to offer these to you first before I offer them to someone else. And if you don't want it, no big deal. I have another customer who wants it.
Yeah. Do you know how she asks for the email or the phone number in that situation without making it seem like I'm going to,
my guess is this, like, she has a strategy, but she would ask like, hey, like, I'd love to follow up with you. I have a VIP list and I send out gift cards to my customers on a regular basis. So if you'd like that, let me take your phone number and email and I'll make sure that I put you on that list. Like, that would be one strategy. Another one would be just to ask them if they want to sign up for it, or if you can get it inside of your CRM, whatever you're using, if you're using Shop Pay or Square or whatever it is. I know that you can't necessarily pull it out of that unless they actually subscribe to your list. But I think if you process it, I don't know for sure, but if you process it through Shop Pay, then you can automatically add them to your email list because you have it, assuming that they
note of like they bought this, but they were also interested in this. Follow up with them. Oh.
Yeah, and then you just keep notes. And so she would keep a notepad and make all the notes of what everyone said, everything that people were looking at.
Yeah.
And then you can, if they're with a partner or someone, you could be like, pull them aside and be like, hey, if you want to give me your information, gifts. Like she does that too. I mean, you have to be savvy. It's just really about thinking about how you can help them.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously you don't want it to be awkward or weird or like pushy because it can easily move into that weird, awkward state where you might lose the sale because you're being kind of creepy. But also it's like, you have to just let it I think the biggest piece of advice I could give to anyone who's like wants to try this is if they say no or it gets weird, just blow it off. Don't make it a thing and don't get awkward about it, and you cannot take it personally.
Yeah.
Like none of that is any of that. This is just really about saying like, look, if you're interested, great. And if not, no big deal. But I think the challenge is that so many people, they just want, this is part of like what the Train Your Customers program is all about. It's like so many people just want to like put up a social media post and let that do the work and not have any interaction. And you've even said like, that's not how it works.
No.
You don't just post a reel and get sales. You have to interact.
Yeah.
Right? And be the human behind the face. Like the reels and the social media are a tool in which you get customers and create this sort of in-person experience online.
Yeah.
It's not about being passive about it. And sure, if you build like really strong SEO and if you build, you know, you have really solid email marketing and it's getting delivered and you're leaning into a text strategy, SMS strategy, and you're doing all these things and you have a funnel that converts and all that stuff, sure, it can turn into a passive strategy. But for most smaller businesses, they don't have the funds to like really optimize that stuff until they get the revenue in the door in the first place. So that's like more like down the road stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think what's happening, what's better now, I mean, every year it's like something changes in algorithm or email deliverability. I really see a shift in more personalized service with everything.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I would say to anyone, like if you're at bandwidth, like figure out how you can get a virtual assistant or someone to help you with the customer service and sales process and leverage that instead of investing money in ads. Like I almost think it's like a better use of your money.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
In a way.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you for listening.
That's great.
So Claire, back to Reels. If you were to give our listeners today just like any final pieces of advice, what would you tell them?
I would just film the natural things you're already doing in your business. You don't have to like lip sync if you don't want to lip sync. You don't have to be anyone that you're not. You can just be yourself. Film what you're doing. Like talk about your work in front of the camera, make it fun, make it work for you. Do it in a way, like create your content in a way that works for you. Figure out what that is. Make it another like fun, creative endeavor that you're just trying out and not like a chore or like this big marketing endeavor. Make it like support all the other things that you're doing in your business marketing wise. Like, you know, just consume other content and see what people are doing, see what the trends are, reinterpret them in a way that's authentic to you. And you don't need to be anyone you're not. And yeah, just film what you're doing, piece it together.
That's awesome. Claire, thank you so much for being here today. Where can everyone find you?
I'm at adorntorise.com, and then you can find me on Instagram at adorntorise. There's 2 dots in between the 3 words on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This was such a good interview. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it was awesome to be here.
Thank you so much for watching the show today. This is Tracy Matthews signing off until next time. If you haven't done so yet, you can subscribe to our podcast on any station or any channel that you're listening to your podcast on, as well as YouTube. And if you would like more information about our Train Your Customers to Buy From You online program, make sure that you head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/TYC. All the information is over there. Reels is part of just one part of the strategy on how we're helping students get more customers on their website and create in-person experiences online so that you're leaning into active marketing strategies that always work to build your sales and recession-proof your business. So if that sounds good, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/TYC for more information.